This is Geeks Unleashed, episode 17. Hello, welcome to Geeks Unleashed, episode 17. I'm Mark.
And I'm Jasmine.
Each week we cover the news of the week and we pick a couple of things to review that caught our fancy in TV, comics, movies and games. This week's reviews are Bill and Ted Face the Music and Netflix's Enola Holmes.
And spoiler warning, this is a review show, so if you have not had a chance to watch Bill and Ted Face the Music or Enola Holmes, you might want to pause this and come back after you've had a chance. And then at the very end, we'll give you a couple of recommendations of our own.
Thank you very much.
All right, so news this week. Emmys. We have had our first major award series go on during COVID. And biggest winners of the night. Watchmen from HBO, the limited series event, pulled in 11 Emmys. And Schitt's Creek swept all the comedy categories, and Schitt's Creek wound up taking home 9 Emmys. I feel bad for any show or film or anything that is competing with a final season or a final film of a franchise, because the 6th season of Schitt's Creek was the final season, so I feel like anybody else in the comedy category would not have had a chance, because people you tend to win more when they know that there's no coming back. So 9 Emmys. That's impressive. Disney Plus actually scored big with The Mandalorian, picked up 7 Emmys.
I love The Mandalorian.
Yeah. And HBO is the biggest network winner, brought home 30 Emmys, and most of that was thanks to Watchmen and Succession, which was the big drama winner for the night. Succession from HBO took home most of the big drama prizes, including Best Drama Series and Best Lead Actor. Let's see, what else? Oh, yeah. And Zendaya actually won for Euphoria, which is also on HBO. She won Best Lead Actress in a Drama Series. And she is both the youngest, well, not both, but she's the youngest actress to win in that category. Another, I guess, notable win of the night is Ron Cephas Jones, who posthumously won for Best Guest Role in a Drama, and that was for his role on This Is Us. I love Ron Cephas Jones. I was really bummed out earlier this year when I found out that he passed away, but you might also recognize him from Luke Cage or Mr. Robot or The Get Down. And of course, narration. Since Morgan Freeman was not nominated in any category for narration, the go-to narrator for everything, David Attenborough, won for his narration on Seven Worlds, One Planet. And then, of course, Mark's favorite TV show ever, Picard, actually took home an Emmy for Best Prosthetic Makeup.
I'm surprised they didn't take an Emmy for show most likely to get you to fall asleep. Yeah, not
Picard's
okay. No, it's okay. It's not great. I guess it's for super Star Trek Next Generation fans. I mean, I liked Next Generation. I didn't love it. I preferred Voyager. I like Patrick Stewart. He's been in some good stuff. I just don't get what they were doing with Picard. It's. I guess when you're putting someone in who's of his age, trying to put. I don't know. I don't really know what the thoughts were. Maybe it just wasn't for me, but it was dull as anything. I was hoping it could be some sort of launch pad for that era and maybe phase him out or maybe make him more cameo and have a new, because all the cast are young. He's the only older person in it, right? I'm not saying I want to watch shows that are just young, but having watched such action-packed Star Trek Discovery, I wanted more of that, and then it was this is some sort of Oscar kind of TV show that they're putting together. Like, I don't know. Like, obviously, there's going to be fans out there for that. I'm not a fan.
Well, the news from the Emmys definitely makes me want to put Watchmen on my list. I'm going to have to go back and watch that series. And Regina King, this is her 4th Emmy in, I think, 5 years for Best Lead Actress in a Limited Series or Event. So basically, if you are doing anything that is a limited run, please call Regina King and put her in your stuff, because it is a guaranteed win for you. So Watchmen, that's going to be my next like project binge to get that.
I need to watch. I watched the first episode of Euphoria, but I never carried on watching it. Mm-hmm. Just not because there was anything wrong with it. Just there's just always so much to watch. I'd like to carry on watching Euphoria. I would say, like, I did enjoy that first episode. I was quite shocked that Zendaya was actually in something like that, considering her Nickelodeon and Disney and Marvel roots, and then to see her in something just like so dark and adult was quite, which is good for her as an actress, and but good that she's going into something like HBO rather than, you know, what her previous Nickelodeon partner is doing in going into like the porn industry and stuff. Like,
ooh, yikes! Hey, but you know, people got to put food on the table, so whatever it takes.
No, I think it's good. It was good to see the growth, and also HBO is obviously a high quality network. So
HBO is no stranger to beating everyone down when it comes to Emmys. I think the next network that was even close to HBO's 30 Emmy wins was actually Netflix, and Netflix pulled in 21 Emmys across all of their shows.
I bet that's annoying TV channels everywhere.
Good. Take note. Take note, because the next after them was the production company that is responsible for Schitt's Creek. After that, it was Disney Plus and NBC tied with 8 total Emmys for each of those networks. So 2 streaming networks behind HBO beat out the staples. So, and AMC was nowhere to be found normally with, you know, they're Breaking Bad. So
I think what jumps out at me is this: it's like Watchmen 9 episodes, Mandalorian I think it's like 8 episodes. I think Euphoria, what was that, about eight episodes or 10 episodes, something short. What jumps out at me though is everything of TV, or even Picard. I can't remember, 10, 12 episodes, something like that. But everything here that's mopping up is short, sweet, not stretched out, not drawn out. We've not got filler of the week.
We don't have the attention span anymore. We don't have the attention span for a 22 arc spread out over 8 months. We don't. No one has the time. No one has the patience. Give me 10 episodes max. I'll take 12 if it's a 30-minute kind of thing versus an hour-long thing. But at this point, like, my attention span is 10 episodes. I'm willing to give 10 episodes to a season.
I think 12, 13 episodes is okay if it's something where it needs 12 or 13 episodes. Like Daredevil, I loved the fact that it was 12, 13 episodes. But then when Iron Fist season 2 came out, I was like, actually 10 episodes is good. 10 episodes, like, good. Like, no, I liked Iron Fist, but like I think the second episode was better put together with 10 episodes. It didn't need 13.
Yeah. Well, the Defenders, when they finally put everybody together, that was only 10.
I think it was 8.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, it was 8 episodes, and actually that was quite nice because there was no nonsense. It was
it forces people to tell a better story. You don't have to waste time on filler episodes. They're just not necessary.
I mean, like, and also the other thing is, I mean, over here in England and the UK, we don't make 22 episode dramas or anything like, and they are 3 episodes or 5 episodes, or I don't think we go much beyond 8 to 10 episodes. And so when we're making any kind of drama or thriller or anything like that, we rarely go into sci-fi because of the budget. We just don't have the budget over here. And even the sci-fis we do go over to are either low budget stuff that's done, like Humans, for instance, which I think that might have been a joint production with something in America anyway. But even that was done with humans playing robots, which, I mean, there's not really much of a budget around that. They just stuck orange lenses in their eyes. But even then, that was like 12 episodes a season. Like, so we don't really tend to go over it. We kind of keep it short and sweet. And that's the thing I find about like watching stuff from America, like The Flash, 22 episodes, but it's not 20. But it's not. But I could get around the 22 episodes if it was 22 weeks running. But it's not 22 weeks running because they film it as they're going along. So you get 3 or 4 episodes, 2-week break, 3 episodes, 3-week break, 2 episodes, 4-week break. And I'm like,
but then you have holidays. So it's like, oh, we have Thanksgiving break, then we have the Christmas break, and then we have the, the spring sweeps or February sweeps. Like, it's too much. I don't want to give anybody an 8-month commitment right now. I'm not interested in doing that. I want, if I can't binge it, then 2 months is what I'm willing to give up. Like with the way that Amazon kind of has started to do things with The Boys season 2, they first 3 episodes on the first day, and then they drip the other ones weekly, but you're still finishing up the second season within about 2.5 months versus the season going on for 3 or 4 months and you having to keep up weekly.
I don't mind The Boys being weekly because it's 8. They've obviously already filmed it, or I think they filmed all of it. I can't remember if it's like they didn't film the last episode or something. But either way, it's going to end in 8 weeks, like 8 weeks, and I'm quite happy with that. Like I'm quite happy with the weekly episode because actually, I get a little bit frustrated at the moment where they every week like a new like especially Netflix and Amazon and Disney occasionally, and dropping like a whole season on us of 8 to 10 episodes in 1 week. I'm like, oh no. But like I do love the fact that it's short, but I don't want like it all in 1 week. I'm quite happy with it broken up a little bit, just because I've got kids, I've got a full-time job that's takes over my life, like, and everything, like, so, and then to try and kill a TV show in a week as well, like, I'm quite happy. Actually, I quite like what Amazon's done. I'd like to see more of that.
I don't mind it because I can wait. I am a binger. I will literally watch 12 episodes in a day. I will pick a Saturday that I'm not doing anything, and that's all I do for the day. So I'm super spoiled by being able to get everything done in one sitting. But if I only have to wait 2 months versus having to wait 8 months, then it's not so bad. So like if I know that, the Boys is going to be ending already in 3 weeks, season 2. So I only have to wait 3 more weeks, and then I can watch everything all at one time and be done with it.
I definitely think people need to take note of the shorter series. Even the CW that took on Stargirl, which has now just come over here on Amazon, which I've watched, which was like 12 episodes. It's great. It was there was no real filler about it. I know it wasn't made by the CW though, so like it was made by obviously under the same umbrella, but it was made by the DC Universe, which it got moved to CW because obviously DC Universe has sort of come to an end, and then Amazon over here has got it in the UK. But that was a superhero show done over a short period of time, and it was done well. I would love it if they started half in The Flash and half in other things, which we're just about to move on to. So actually, probably a nice segue there. They've announced this week that Supergirl has been cancelled at the CW, and season 6 will be the final season. And I was shocked to see the episode number of the final season is going to be 20 episodes. So I think that's nice though, because they've got 20 episodes to make sure they wrap everything up.
Right. They did it on purpose because normally Supergirl is one of the shorter of the Arrowverse series. So they purposely pushed it to 20 because they wanted to make sure they could wrap up their entire story in this final season.
Because when Arrow
Plus they had to give Melissa a little bit more time because she's pregnant.
Yeah. I think because Arrow in the final season, they had 12 episodes. And I'll tell you what, the final season of Arrow was the best season they'd had in years.
Yeah.
But then it was 12 episodes. It was short, sweet. It was punchy. Every episode was like, oh, I can't believe this is ending. I was like, every episode was so good.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, Arrow, first 3 or 4 seasons were really good. Then it went on a bit of a lull. And then I think the last season or 2 had started to get really good again. And then the final season was fantastic. The last 12 episodes, I was like, no, they can't be ending this show. And then what I thought was pretty cool was actually they killed Arrow off like 2 or 3 episodes before the final season, before the season finale, which I thought was quite good in some ways, because then the final episode was actually, well, final sort of couple of episodes was more built around his legacy. A legacy for Arrow and legacy for the CW or Arrowverse, which they've renamed the CW verse. But yeah, so final 20 episodes, and that's obviously going to come out in January. But I thought they've said it's a mutual decision, who knows? But apparently it's built around the low ratings, and Melissa, obviously, I guess she
ready to move on.
Time to move on. Yeah. And the CW are aware that it's one of their lowest rated shows, and I can't imagine it's cheap, and probably the added cost of corona testing and and maybe like the bubbles they're creating around the film industry at the moment. Maybe there's some extra housing costs, I don't know, but so they've decided to call it a day. So I'm hoping that Supergirl will get an ending which allows her to pop back. I hope they don't do anything dramatic as killing her off in the final episode.
No, I can't imagine them killing her off. Hopefully, I'm pretty sure they'll probably just leave it open, especially because they're bringing in the new Superman and Lois Lane series. So they're gonna, I think they're gonna leave that open for her to make guest appearances or anything like that.
I can imagine though as well, you might see like maybe the odd character from Supergirl show up in Superman, but yeah. I don't think they'll have anyone join as a main cast member. I think they want Superman and Lois Lane to be its own thing. Yeah. Yeah, I think they want it to feel like if you've never watched Supergirl, that you could go and watch Superman, right, and not have to worry about it. I'm sure they might have cameos and stuff like that. I would like Martian Manhunter to be around beyond this. But really weirdly, I'd love him to go and join like the Flash. I reckon that would be cool.
He's one of my favorite Justice League characters. Him and Hawkgirl are probably my two. I love Batman. I mean, I love Batman to death, but like Martian Manhunter and Hawkgirl are my two favorite Justice League members.
You know what I think they'll do actually? Like, not necessarily put them in the Flash or Superman. Anyone that they want to keep, you know where they're going to go.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Literally, Legends of Tomorrow is the scoop up show.
Yeah, it's like, oh, your show is over. Come on, come hang out with us. It's fine.
Yeah. Like, that's honestly, I can bet money on it that one or two of them will make their way over to Legends of Tomorrow, which actually would be quite cool, because that show is mainly made up of, Flash and Arrow.
It's almost like a variety show. Like if you could make a variety show that was serious, like Legends of Tomorrow is it. It's almost like the Saturday Night Live of the Arrowverse. Like everybody makes a guest appearance on Legends of Tomorrow.
Do you know what I really wanted? If they could have made a spin-off show, was the guy who plays Elongated Man in The Flash.
Yeah.
I know Hartley Sawyer, obviously he's been fired, which I know is a shame, but also he was a racist and various other things. But obviously take that away, it's a bit of a shame, because I did quite like the actor and the character. But the spin-off show I would love to have seen would be Elongated Man and Martian Manhunter together as a joint PI detective show.
Oh my God, hijinks!
But not like 22 episode cases. Maybe move it to a summer show, 12 episodes, and you can imagine it would be like Deadpool and Cable, like Elongated Man as the comedy, Martian Manhunter as serious.
Yeah.
That I mean, CW, you've got it. Like literally, that would be a perfect show. Like, let me have a go. I'll do it. But I think that would be like a perfect spin-off. Like out of Supergirl would be some sort of joint detective show, and maybe they could throw in a couple of others, like other sort of DC characters. I forget his name, but they got that talking monkey from Justice League Dark, who's like a detective as well. Like, throw in a few of those characters. Even put maybe Constantine in it, like a sort of a superhero detective show would be brilliant. Like, I think you wouldn't want it to be Justice League Dark, but like some sort of superhero detective show, I think would be brilliant. That's what I would like to see replace Supergirl. Like,
No, all you're getting is Superman and Lois Lane. That's what you're getting.
yeah. So, all right.
So keeping in theme with DC, they also announced this week that Suicide Squad is going to have a TV spinoff after the sequel. Hard to get excited about this because the sequel, Suicide Squad 2, is not coming out until August 6th of 2021. So this TV series that they're talking about, which is going to center around John Cena's character, Peacemaker, which is also the name of the series, supposed to be 8 episodes, very, very, very early in the development stages. So no real plot details or anything like that yet. But it has already been sent to HBO Max for a full 8-season order. James Gunn is supposed to be a part of it in some capacity. I don't know if he's going to be directing or if he's just a producer. But he says that it's an opportunity to delve into the current world's issues through the lens of the superhero, supervillain, and world's biggest douchebag, Peacemaker. He said he's super excited to expand on the Suicide Squad and to bring that character to a series. So we're going to get a whole lot more John Cena coming up in the next couple of years here.
Also sounds like now that DC have got James Gunn, they're not letting go. Like,
we'll see what Marvel has to say about that.
yeah, might be tug of war who's paying more money.
Yeah.
So, although maybe James Gunn might say, "Well, you sacked me. Like, I'm going to go with the guys that are ready to hire." So,
yeah.
Like, I reckon the only reason he went back to Marvel though is so he can finish off Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe he just decided to suck it up and think, "I'm going to finish that trilogy off." But he did say that is his final movie for them.
Yeah.
So, although maybe he's saying that because maybe he wants more money. So, like,
hey,
they always do that. It's a negotiating tactic. I've noticed that. Like, whenever their final film's coming up, whether they're a director or actor or whatever, I'm ready to look at other things. And then they announce so-and-so signed up for another 3 movies. I'm like, yeah, I bet they did.
But it's a perfect opportunity for you to ask for more money. You've already got a proven track record of, look at how much money I've already made you guys, so pay me what I'm asking you for so we can do it again.
Yeah, I did it cheap for the first 3.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not making that mistake again.
Yeah, the next 3 is going to cost you.
Yeah.
So, following on from spin-off news and something we talked about probably a couple of minutes ago was The Boys. They've announced that a spin-off from Amazon Prime has been fast-tracked into development, and Sony Pictures have said it's going to be, set in American college exclusively for young adult superheroes. The Untitled spin-off is it's described as an irrelevant R-rated series that explores the lives of hormonal and competitive supes as they put their physical, sexual, and moral boundaries to the test. Part college, part Hunger Games, with heart and satire of The Boys by the original team. I imagine that it's probably got nothing to do with any of the graphic novels. Probably,
no.
Maybe there might be the odd character who maybe
this
had some small
sounds
part.
like a souped-up superhero version of Animal House. Like, it just seems like it's going to be nothing but trash. Like, just a bunch
it won't be very
drunk
good.
Drunk, horny kids. Like, that's what it seems like it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm concerned that they're so pleased, Amazon, by The Boys that they're like, what else can we do? Like, I don't know. I'm concerned about it not being very good. I would much rather see Garth Ennis. He's got plenty of other material that they could go and grab.
Yeah.
I just think this could be shit. We'll see. Could be wrong.
We'll see.
Other news is Nick Fury. There's not really much details here, but Nick Fury is potentially getting a Disney Plus show. They're literally saying it could be Nick Fury centered or a show built with Nick Fury as a lead role. Other than that, we don't know much about it. me and Jasmine's thoughts are that it's basically Nick Fury's been given a figure that he's signed on to.
Yes.
And
Samuel L. Jackson said, yes, I will do it. And now Disney Plus is like, okay, well, we'll figure something out. We'll get back to you.
Yeah, they rang him and said, well, we want you to do 8 episodes. And he's
Yeah.
like, yep, how much?
When do I start?
Yeah. Like, when do I start filming? And yeah, it'll be good. It's got Samuel Jackson in it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a perfect Nick Fury. So.
Yeah, and he's a great actor, and yeah, I don't know. It could be anything. Like I would love it if they could bring Shield back, like actually as a TV series with Nick Fury. Maybe scoop up some of the Shield people from ABC and bring it back into the main Marvel universe, because that Shield series just disappeared from Marvel main universe. And I'd love it if they could scoop up Coulson and Chloe Bennett's character. I've got her name. Anyway, Quake. Like I would Quake. Like they were like my 2 favorites, and there's a lot of talk around a Quake spin-off. So if they were to put Nick Fury, Quake, and Coulson in a show, honestly, that would be amazing. I'm gonna watch it whatever, but like I'm down with that. That would be my choice. Any thoughts on what you'd want from a Nick Fury show?
Not really. I mean, I kind of like that they went back in time with Nick Fury and Captain Marvel. So maybe like Nick Fury's early days at S.H.I.E.L.D. would be something fun, or they could deal with the fallout post-snap and just kind of follow the complete rebuilding of your, all of your superhero people that are supposed to go out and help out with the Avengers Initiative and all of those kinds of things.
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yep. So, our first review.
Louis Armstrong's like 65 years old.
Dude, I told you we should have gotten older, Louis.
It was your idea, too. Well, the young ladies picked me up in 1922, Jim.
Which supports both that we're putting together a most extraordinary band.
Yeah, and that we are doing so by traveling all throughout time.
Bill and Ted Face the Music. It is directed by Dean Paristot. It is written by Chris Matheson and Ed Solomon. And it stars Keanu Reeves, Alex Winters, Kristen Schaal, Samara Weaving, Bridget Lundy Payne, Anthony Carrigan, Aaron Hayes, Jemima Mays, Holland Taylor, Kid Cudi, William Sadler, and Jillian Bell. It follows everybody's favorite high school idiots from the late 80s.
Yes.
And quite honestly, they have not changed, which is something that they kind of address in the film, which makes it a little bit better, because they do acknowledge that they're at this point they're kind of losers. Like the film opens with them, which this was comedic gold, I think, at the very beginning, when it's like there was always a running joke about Missy, who was first. Bill and Ted had a crush on her because she was 2 or 3 years older than them at the same high school. Then she ended up marrying Bill's dad. Then they explain in this movie that not only did she divorce him, she then turned around and married Ted's dad, divorced him, and then married Ted's brother. So we are now, like, the film opens with Bill and Ted being the musical entertainment at Missy's wedding to Ted's brother. It is a very awkward exchange, but it is hilarious all the same. But like, they establish very quickly that Bill and Ted are losers. They did not find the song that would unite the world. They play all of these weird instruments that don't even look like instruments. They're basically just up on stage making noise. And so it kind of just sets a tone like, holy crap, the guys that were supposed to save the world are just losers that have not progressed in 25 years. We don't know what we're going to do about this, but we got to get them back on track. So basically, it's pretty much the same formula as the first 2 films. It's some earth-shattering thing is happening, and Bill and Ted are the only ones that can stop it. But in order to do so, they have to come up with the impossible. And quite frankly, I think Keanu Reeves is past his days of playing characters like this. I just felt like he was pretty stiff, and I understand that he's playing the 1989 version of himself, but that part felt like it didn't work. Bill and Ted felt very burdensome in their own film. However, the storyline that follows their daughters, who do all of the heavy lifting for this movie, is so much better, so much more compelling, and it's just so much more fun because his daughters actually take on the role of taking the time machine and going back in time and finding great musicians throughout history. And that part is a lot of fun to watch. So, they go back and they get people like Jimi Hendrix and Louis Armstrong, and they go back even further and they get Mozart, and then they go back to like ancient China and they pick up this really famous flutist. So they've got this plan to actually find and make this supposed song that's going to unite the world, whereas Bill and Ted, their plan is, hey, let's just go find our future selves after we have already come up with this song, and then we'll just bring the song back to the past and problem solved. So, the kids are definitely much smarter on a better track, it seems. But it's lighthearted. It's fun. It is a movie where you pretty much just leave your brain at the door before you start it. There is nothing earth-shattering is happening here. There are no plot twists, nothing major. It's just goofy fun, and it's got a really great soundtrack. So it's basically, you just got to take it at face value.
Yeah, I rewatched the first two movies before I watched this movie, and I completely agree. It literally was watching Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter playing Bill and Ted as if 2 weeks had passed from watching the second film, Bogus Journey. Like, they literally. That was a bit disjointing because obviously it's been 25 years-ish since the second film. I'd like to note, actually, what comment on the first two films. Like, the first film, Excellent Adventure, was brilliant. The second film, Bogus Journey, in my opinion, was a pile of shit. But I loved the first film because it was the time-traveling adventure, jumping around history, and they had a lot of fun with it. It was a bit like, I don't know, it was kind of like one of those 90s movies like Dude, Where's My Car? And all that kind of stuff, like, light-hearted, fun, whatever, but still made enough sense that you could watch it and enjoy it. But watching the second film, I feel like the first film must have done so well that they were like, how do we do another one? And there was very little time travel, and there was like all this nonsense, like going to hell, and then there was one point they got dressed up as the characters from The Wizard of Oz, and I don't know, just not enjoy the second film. But again, it was like sort of, I guess, 90s type stuff and low budget is how it felt. And then this third film, I sort of watched it not long after, and it was kind of disjointing just to see those two who are clearly in their 50s playing people with the mindset of 20-year-olds, and how like 25 years has gone past since the films. Clearly their wives have, the wives have been recast for every movie.
I had beef with that.
We'll come back to that in a minute. And then so the wives have been recast for every movie. They've clearly matured. Although I felt probably as characters, although they were minor characters in every film. Actually, this was the only film where they actually had a much bigger role. But the previous two films, it was much more minor. But even they had grown. Like, they were adults now. They were parents. And then seeing obviously Thea and Billy, their two daughters, even though they were kind of semi Bill and Ted, like, they were clearly intelligent. Like, the way they spoke about music and obviously what they did to go and help their fathers with coming out with a song that would reunite the world. You could tell these two were clearly bright girls, but wanted to be like their parents, mainly their two dads who were supposed to be aspiring to save the world. So I was disjointed by the fact that Bill and Ted had not grown up, but obviously this is a comedy, and I just accepted it. I was a bit like, oh, Keanu Reeves. I was like, why are you playing a 20-year-old? Like,
Yeah.
but actually, I kind of accepted it a lot more from Alex Winter than I did from Keanu Reeves. I don't know
Well,
why.
Alex Winter was very convincing. Like he was he was all around just a better actor in this particular setting and he was a better actor like every time they went forward in time to meet new versions of themselves. Like Alex Winter was just much better at this than Keanu Reeves was. And don't get me wrong, like I love Keanu Reeves, but I think Keanu Reeves' days of playing the stoner airhead are just over. And
Yeah.
he's so much better playing the stoic characters now. Because he just came across as so stiff the entire film, and he's not like that in the first two. Again, those movies were 25 years ago, but he's not like that in the first two Bill and Ted movies. He's very kind of like, yeah, he totally fits the part of like dumb teenager, but he's not selling it very well at all at this age.
Yeah, no. So for me, the third movie, it just felt like the final part of a trilogy which has been long coming. And actually, I felt like it's come out at the right time, especially with their two daughters really taking a good chunk of the movie. And actually, when they were on the screen, I would say I enjoyed their part much more than the Bill and Ted, which
definitely.
I enjoyed the fact that they were jumping around in that pod time travel thing. Kind of almost, you could say this is a bit like The Force Awakens for Bill and Ted, because it was almost like a remix of the original movie. Like rather than jumping around getting historical figures for a history exam, history assignment. They were jumping around in time to gather famous music artists to create the ultimate band. To save the world. So for me, sort of all these films anyway are sort of throwaway nonsense anyway. Like, you know, they kind of, I don't know, kind of at the moment with everything that's going on with Corona and all the depressing news that we're hearing all the time. For me, this is the kind of film that you can put on and it's sort of bubblegum, light-hearted movie to take your mind off the outside world for an hour and a half. And you know, I put it on and I genuinely did switch off. I kind of just forgot about everything else that's going on and just watched this movie. And yeah, you know, for me, my favourite part was Bill and Ted's daughters just following their father's footsteps. And probably going to sound a little bit sad now, but like I got kind of emotional watching that bit. Like I could feel it in my throat when at the end, when they did get the band together and it was like this massive live performance, and it was only more got me because I thought everything that's been going on with Corona, like the lockdowns and the taking away of live music that we've had and all the restrictions we've had this year. I mean, I love live music, so it's like this is probably about the closest thing I'm going to get to seeing. I know it's not a live performance, but it was like such a big thing in the film, and I was like, oh, this is so good. I can't wait till we're allowed to go out and start going to festivals again and seeing live music and socializing with each other. So I enjoyed the whole movie. It's not the kind of film that I would sit down and go, oh, let's rewatch that. You know, I can't, you know, I haven't watched the first two films probably since they came out 25 years ago. Yeah. Like I say, they're a bit like, Dude, Where's My Car kind of movies. You know, you watch them once. You know, they're in the same vein as Time Travel, Hot Tub Time Machine, that kind of thing. You know? For me, like I enjoyed them for what they are. It was light-hearted, and I think it would be good if they finish it there. Nice conclusion to the trilogy.
Yes, we're done with this. We're done.
I think from the first film, they've always said that Bill and Ted would reunite. You know, would cause sort of peace and harmony across the world and unite everybody. And obviously that still hadn't happened in the second film. So it was nice that finally did happen in the third film. So I don't feel a need for the Bill and Ted movies to carry on. Yeah. But my standout from this was definitely Samara Weaving, who played Thea, and Bridget Lundy Payne, who played Billy. Those two as the daughters. I would love to see more of those. I think Bridget Lundy hasn't done as much as Samara. So I'd be keen to see more of those. And I'd shout out though to William Sadler though coming back as Death. Like he was good.
He was good. Yeah, he was a treat. But I think that was my favorite overall, was all of the returners, because I was shocked that Ted's dad was. First of all, I was shocked that Ted's dad was still alive. But like Ted's dad came back, Deacon came back, who's Ted's brother, Missy came back. Like there's a lot of returning faces, which is a lot
I
of
was
fun.
shocked about I was shocked about Missy that they like you said that they opened up with that joke about Missy, and I was like, wow, like they actually got the same actress to play Missy. And also like you could see the dad. I was like, how on earth is Chief Logan still
kicking? He is still like, that was.
I reckon if they put him in the lead role in Picard, he'd be a lot more entertaining. So like,
oh my god.
And but anyway, so but you know what? Like my daughter popped in. She I was talking about it, and she saw one of the actresses from Glee was in it, and what's her name? Jama Mays, who plays Joanna, one of the wives. And I was like, yeah, she's from Glee, yeah. So when I was like prepping nights, I had some of the pictures up on my screen, and she was like, wow, like she's that girl's from Glee. I was like, yeah, like, but that was, I guess, bring on to what you say about the the wives or the princesses.
Yeah, so that really bugged me because Alex Winter and Keanu have definitely aged. I'm not saying that they are as old as Ted's father, Chief Logan, but it's clear that they're much older. And when you look at their wives, it's like, okay, but like you went and got them from medieval times, so like technically you guys should have all been around the same age, but your wives are so clearly younger than you are at this point. And that just, I mean, I know it's petty and I know it's typical Hollywood, but that just really annoyed the crap out of me. So I even went and I looked it up. And in the first film, there's a 3-year difference between all 4 of the actors that are playing Bill and Ted, and then Joanne and Elizabeth. But by the time you get to the third movie, there is an 11-year difference and a 14-year difference between them and their wives. And I'm just like, this sucks. Like, this is
the age gap was there was hardly any visual age gap in the first 2 movies,
right?
And the age gap is so much more noticeable in the third movie.
So apparent. I mean, they could have they could have done better with that. So this
did feel like typical Hollywood. This did feel like typical Hollywood.
That was definitely Hollywood. Like, oh, let's put the old schlubby guys with some hot young chicks, and everybody's gonna be okay with it.
I'm sure they were okay with it.
So, like, I think my favorite part, my favorite musical part was when Jimi Hendrix is riffing with Mozart in Vienna. I thought that was so badass to listen to those two kind of play at each other. That was totally fun. But that was really the only musical number that stood out to me. As far as all the rest of them, they were just kind of okay. The song at the end was nice once everybody kind of fell into their own harmony and rhythm. And I also felt like they totally wasted Kid Cudi. I love him. And he's one of the best parts of Need for Speed. And his comedic timing is perfect. And the fact that he is in this film and he's just kind of like the uber nerd, like he's the time travel expert, which, okay, fine, I guess that's kind of funny, but like I just felt like he was so underutilized, especially since he's also a rapper, but you didn't use him musically in the film. Then you could have at least used him for his comedy chops, and that didn't happen.
I think you say about musical moments, 2 things for me about musical, things that jumped out at me, which I loved, was how the daughters tried to recruit Jimi Hendrix straight away, and it was like, no. And then like, right, okay, plan B. Yeah. And this is where I think they actually were, like, you could see that they were clever.
Yeah.
They were like, okay, we can't get Jimi Hendrix, but let's go and get the person who inspired Jimi Hendrix. So they went back even further, got Louis Armstrong, brought him back to I think 1970s, and I loved it how like Jimi Hendrix is still like yeah whatever, like walks around the corner and Louis Armstrong starts playing the trumpet, and like you just see like Jimi Hendrix taking like a step backwards and like turning down the corridor looking at them and like, what? Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah, I love that little bit. But
Yeah.
the bit that I loved the most was when Bill and Ted would jump, like music-wise, I mean, jumping back and forth. Sorry, jumping forward and forward and forward, because they decided to steal the song that was going to save the world from their future selves. And I loved it when they arrived at this, you know, multi-million-pound mansion, find their older selves of Bill and Ted, who are playing a scam on their younger selves because they actually are still losers in the future. And as they're leaving the house, they run into Dave Grohl. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, wow. And like, Dave Grohl hasn't aged a day in like
Yeah.
10, 12 years.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't think no one cared about that bit, but I was like, oh, cool, they got Dave Grohl.
I
Like,
love Dave Grohl. And the fact that he's like, what are you doing here? They're like, no, what are you doing here? And he's like, you're in my house. Both of them are like, oh my God, we're still losers.
do you know, while I was watching this film, like, and you know how they kept going about the one song to reunite the world, you know, like the greatest song ever, whatever. I don't know about you, but what really got me thinking was about Tenacious D's song Tribute. It was the greatest song in the world, like, but it didn't sound like this song. And I was like, oh, literally, like after this film finishes, I want to play Tribute. I don't know, like I love, I guess, rock and roll, and that song Tribute, although it's like a comedy song, like the whole movie just got me thinking about Tribute. So, yeah, I guess it got me thinking about music a little bit more, this film, which is cool.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I think this is a good place to leave this review and leave this franchise in general. So, good bubblegum film, hour and a half. Take your mind off Corona and the outside chaos of all of our politicians who probably couldn't run a brewery if they were in one. And most of them I question daily. So, you know, we vote for them and then we wonder why we did. Hour and a half, take your mind off the chaos and enjoy it for what it is. But yeah, it's not a film I think you need to revisit anytime soon afterwards.
No, not at all.
Geeks Unleashed rating 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, we give it a 3.5 because of the nostalgia value, because of the laid back kind of what you see is what you get. But technically this film way lower than that. But it's fun. It's literally a distraction, and I mean, what else are you looking for? If you're having a bad day, this movie will definitely make you laugh out loud at some point.
Our next review is a film I've been actually excited about for weeks, to be honest. Enola Holmes on Netflix.
Our future is up to us. What future?
There are two paths you can take, Enola. Yours, or the path others choose for you.
Our future is up to us.
Based on the Enola Holmes mysteries by Nancy Springer, directed by Harry Bradbeer, and it's written by Jack Thorne. And it stars the wonderful 11 from Stranger Things, Millie Bobby Brown, Henry Cavill, Sam Claflin, and somebody I'm not so keen on, Helena Bonham Carter. Sorry, I couldn't help that. Okay, so the film is sort of mainly based around the first novel, which is The Case of the Missing Marquis. So, I mean, the film is essentially the growth of Enola from being very protected of her mother, growing up with her mother, learning from her mother. There's a lot of flashback throughout the movie, actually. So even from start to finish, you see little nods here and there to suddenly her being 6 years old, learning how to play the flute, or 10 years old, learning how to do karate kicks, and 12 years old playing tennis in the house, and her mum's like a quirky character. Probably, I can imagine Helena's probably just playing herself.
Yes, I think so too, 100%.
Anyway, so you see a lot of, in the beginning, I would say the first almost 5 minutes, she's sort of setting herself up, and then her mother disappears, and very, very quickly we're introduced to everybody's favorite detective, Sherlock Holmes, and his in this movie anyway, not so friendly brother, Mycroft Holmes.
Is Mycroft friendly in any version of Holmes?
He's friendlier in other things. Like, I liked him in the Elementary TV series. Have you seen Elementary?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Oh crap! I'm so terrible with names. But anyway, in the Elementary, he's a lot friendlier. Yeah, he's toffee, but he is definitely a lot more charming in the Elementary TV series. So in this, though, he is not charming at all. He's very pompous and stuck up. And so they arrive to save Enola and put her into
finishing school.
Some sort of lovely school to get you ready for marriage at the age of 16, which obviously back then was something that happened more of. And actually, that kind of plays a little bit of a theme throughout, really, was about Enola choosing her own path and not. They say in the movie, Enola, there's two paths you can go. You know, someone else's or your own. And this movie was definitely about her finding her way and finding her feet and becoming her own Holmes. You know, not Sherlock, not Minecraft, Enola. And no, I really enjoyed it. My absolute key running theme throughout this movie, and it doesn't work in everything. Deadpool does it brilliantly.
Yes,
was the fourth wall breaking.
Yes,
that just happened throughout this movie. It was done so well. Like, they show a little bit of it in the trailer, which I wasn't sure if that was just done for the trailer to help kind of tease you on the movie, but like it was done throughout the movie, not throughout the movie to the point of killing the film, but like. Right. It was done so well. And my favourite part was when she was trying to suss out something and she turns to the camera and goes, "Have you got any ideas?" And I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, she's talking to me.
Yeah. And, they used this fourth wall break extremely well because it really does pull you in. Like, this was the kind of movie where I did not play on my phone while I was watching the movie. I was definitely very engrossed in the movie the whole time.
I like the fact that obviously she escapes the finishing house. I like the fact that she escapes from getting away from her parents, from Sherlock and Mycroft, and then obviously begins her adventure, which is a bit like a lot of these films. You know, whether you're watching, I don't know, a Paddington film or whatever it is, you know, it is a family-friendly film. There's a marginal bit of violence, which I could say would be more like you wouldn't want probably someone below the age of 10 or 12 to watch. But even if you did have somebody younger, maybe just in the fight scenes, put your hand over their eyes, because other than that, it's actually all right. Like, I would say it's a fairly family-friendly movie. But anyway, as she's on the train journey away from her brothers, you can see that like Mycroft is getting more and more angry about her leaving, and how dare she disobey me? Like she's my ward in speech marks, and throughout the movie you can see Mycroft getting more angry, and Sherlock Holmes is played by Henry Cavill, who is just cinema gold in everything that he's in. You can see him. His mouth just curves slightly, like even there's little things that they do throughout the movie that end up in papers, and Henry Cavill looks down and sees the headlines and he knows that it's Enola and he just keeps quiet, like which I think
he enjoys watching Mycroft's supper for sure.
Yeah. So she ends up on this train on her lovely little journey to London to track down her mother, and runs into Tewkesbury, who is a very wealthy
but
boy
completely helpless Marquis.
He's like he's kind of wealthy, clever, but naive. I think that's probably the best way of putting it.
Yes.
And although they make a good partnership, because there are points throughout the movie that they work well together, and he also saves her at points as well, which it doesn't make him so useless, because actually she does end up needing him a little bit. I would say that she actually just referred to him as a useless boy at several times, but I would feel that's more banter. I think there's a good bit of flirtatious banter between the two of them.
Yeah.
I like the fact that actually there's no over romance. You know, there's
Yes.
no kiss, there's no
Yes.
hugging. In fact, actually, all there was really was hand holding through bars,
Yeah.
and that was it. Like and although
Which is great because it's not a romance story, so there was no reason to force it.
I think sometimes, like, you know, she's a child, right? So there was no need for anything like that anyway. But in general, I think sex scenes and any kind of thing, sometimes I'm like, it's just not needed. Like,
right.
you know, don't get me wrong, occasionally it's needed, but it was definitely not going to be needed in this film. You know, she's 16 in real life, so I'm glad that they didn't. And in fact, actually, I think Millie Bobby Brown, when she turned 16, actually did promote on her social media how annoyed she's been with the press and the media over the years trying to sexualize her as a kid.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that there was like nothing of that throughout the film,
and that was not the end game. Like,
no,
even at the very end, when he does end up taking his seat, she still is the one that's like, okay, you go do your part and I'm gonna keep doing my part, and peace out. Like, I'll see you when I see you.
So Tewkesbury and Enola have got separate storylines from start to finish in the film, which do very much intertwine. And this is where the sort of the murder mystery part comes in, because he's on the run. His father's been killed in what he believes is an accident, and he's become the successor to his father's position as a lord in the House of Lords in England. And there's a vote going on. However, he would vote as his father would, which would be a casting vote and essentially swing it one way. So there's a hitman essentially after him. And the mystery part is who hired the hitman, killed his father. And I'll be honest, I wasn't entirely sure. There was one little bit that kind of tipped it for me, but I dismissed it. And then it was right at the very end when we found out pretty much who it was, and I was like, it's like, should have realised earlier, like, who hired them. I think probably won't ruin that bit here, but like somebody within the family.
It's always an inside job.
Yeah. No. It was quite good actually. Like, I did enjoy that bit of cat and mouse game of what was going on there. So all while this is going on, Enola is obviously searching for her mother. So what I quite liked was, although she's searching for her mother, who she knows is safe, because she kind of finds that out fairly early on, but doesn't really know why her mother's left. She becomes intertwined with Tewkesbury, and several points on her mindset of he's a useless boy, but actually thinks I need to save him and stuff like that. And when he does rescue her from the finishing school, he's like, come on, let's go and find your mother. And she's like, no, let's go and sort,
solve your case.
Solve your case. And so I think it's good that like she does go. This is where I think she's becoming, I guess, her own version of Sherlock. For me, I just thought the whole film, it was clever, witty, charming, fun. It wasn't action-packed all the way through, so I felt it was quite slow in the right places, but also fast in the right places, if you understand what I mean. Just also like seeing Millie Bobby Brown just grow out of Stranger Things into this sort of wonderful sort of young woman and actress.
Which is so funny because there's so much dialogue in this film, and in Stranger Things, she relies so much more on nonverbal cues. So just to see that range of how great she is non-verbally in Stranger Things, and also how great she is like with a super wordy, dialogue-heavy kind of film.
Yeah, I think she handled this really well. Like, it was comical as well. I loved, like, again, come back to the fourth wall breaking, but when she's talking to the camera about I'm on to phase 2 of my plan. No, phase 4, phase 6. Oh no, I've kind of lost track.
Count, yeah.
I've lost count. And then also when she goes, right, I'm going to have to do the one thing my brother's never expected: become a lady. And then she and then she's like getting in her little dress and making comments about the dress and stuff like that. And there was a bit as well when they run into the platform and they're like, Mycroft is looking at her in disgust, and he's like, "Where's your hat? Where's your gloves?" She's like, well, I have gloves. I've forgotten them, but I had a hat, but it makes my head itch. And I just love how she's sort of quirky, and I think she does handle humor really well. So to go from actually Stranger Things, which is a completely dark sci-fi horror, which does have comedy in it, but the comedy is mainly from the boys in it rather than her. She actually has handled comedy and drama really well in this movie. I really love this film. I think kind of tying in with the little Bill and Ted thing that I said earlier about this is the right movie for now. In a time where things right now are not, people are losing their jobs, things are slightly depressing everywhere, etc. This is the kind of films you need.
Yeah.
You don't need movies like The Devil all the time. You need movies like this. You need movies to keep your spirits up. And keep yourself,
exactly. That actually give you hope.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I've got no issue with dark stuff or whatever, but I'm not going to talk about The Devil all the time now. But this is a good movie, well upbeat. I think it was extremely well written, extremely well directed.
Yeah.
The style of everything in it as well. The setting in that sort of early 1920s era, so early 19th century era. Just everything about it. I love those kind of films anyway. I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan. So it was quite nice to actually see this character who I actually don't really know that much about. I know there's obviously a series of books for Enola, which I've never read. I might actually be tempted to read them, although
they might actually be good for your oldest daughter, because in the book she's a little bit younger. She's actually only 14 when she starts taking on all of these. She creates her own private detective agency. That kind of vein of what she does reminds me of the series I used to read when I was a kid called Encyclopedia Brown, where he was a kid. I think he was a middle school kid, and he had a detective agency, and he kind of helped his friends and teachers and neighbors and that kind of stuff, solve mysteries.
Yeah, I don't know. I might. You got me tempted maybe to go and look up buying a book. Yeah, for my daughter, that might actually be something I may do. But how it ends is definitely open for more. And
they got to do another one. They have to.
I would just simply sum this up by saying I want a sequel. I would love to see more of this.
Yeah.
This is a movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a great film. It's about 2 hours long, which actually I think is a sweet spot for a good movie. I'm not actually ever keen to watch hour-and-a-half movies because they just feel too short. And a bit like Bill and Ted, it was an hour and a half, and that
was enough.
That was actually the right length for that type of film. Yeah. But when you want to watch a good, strong film, I think most good, strong films are at least 2 hours long. And this is about 2 hours and 5 minutes or something. So, yeah, I think this is a good film. I would definitely watch this film. It's a good family film as well. Like I say, probably 12 upwards, but if you've got younger kids in the room, just make sure with the violent bits, you put your hand over their eyes.
I loved it. I mean, I also love the message in the movie. It's a very big on women's rights, women's empowerment, and sort of equality, and women coming into their own and getting the right to vote. But this film does it well, so that yes, it's about girl power, but at the same time, it's not that cringe-worthy example of girl power in Avengers Infinity War, when there's 3 minutes of screen time where every female character in the film is all fighting all alongside of each other. This film, it's the message is so deeply embedded that it can't be separated or put into these cliche moments, because the entire reason her mother disappears is because, and I thought this was probably one of the best scenes in the movie, when Enola finally does catch up to her mother, she says, "I didn't leave you, I left for you." And she's implying I don't want you to grow up in the world that I grew up in. And in order to make it so that you had a better chance than I did, I had to do something to change the world so that you have more opportunities to be yourself. And I thought that was really, really great. And it's not like she just kind of abandoned her like they keep saying in the film. They make a lot of allusions to, oh, your mother just abandoned you, she up and left you. but really her mother kind of had been training her from birth to be independent, to take care of herself, to make a way for herself, to think for herself. So I think her mother gave her all of these tools, and when she finally left, it was kind of, I've given you everything that I can, and now it's your turn to take it out there and do something with it, and go out there and carve your own path. So I really, really, really love the message that this film sends. And I even like that Enola is even taking some of those lessons that she learned from her mother, and she's changing them up, because at one point, she calls the Tewksbury kid useless, but she also feels like, if I don't do anything, then he's going to die. So I'm going to step in and I'm going to help him. And she's like, I know you don't agree with that, Mom. She's kind of defying her mother's logic in her head, but it shows how much she's growing as her own individual. And I thought that was pretty brilliant. And as far as like the tone and pacing, it feels to me more like something like a Hercule Poirot versus the Sherlock that's on the BBC with Benedict Cumberbatch. Or, it kind of feels like those Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock films, where it's a little bit more kitschy, a little bit more eccentric, a little bit more off the rails. And it works so well. Everything in this movie clicks. The cast is great. Everybody works really well together. They all play off of each other really well. And one of the scenes toward the end, after they kind of figure out who murdered the father and who tried to kill, or who hired the assassin and all of that stuff, it kind of cuts to Sherlock going to talk to Lestrade. And Sherlock is kind of like, okay, so here's the deal. This is who did it. This is where you need to go to get them. And here's the motive. And Lestrade is just kind of like, yeah, okay, well, how'd you come to that conclusion? Oh, okay, great. So he waits until Sherlock kind of finishes everything, and then he kind of stabs him, I mean, figuratively, not literally, but he kind of just like jabs at him, and he's like, well, how come Enola figured that out before you did? And as Sherlock is walking away, he's kind of like walking down the hallway, and at the end, he's just kind of like, ha! And it's one of those moments to me where he's like, he's found, I don't want to say a rival, but he's found something else within his sister that actually makes it seem like, I really do want to be a part of her life, because I want to see how far she's going to go. Because if she beat me to the punch on figuring out who done it, or she solved this case before I did, then she's definitely worthy of, my attention. So I thought that was kind of sweet toward the end. But I loved everything about this movie. I, again, loved the plot. I loved the characters. The dialogue was witty. It was really punchy. It was just so much fun to watch this movie. And even though you kind of knew, like, nothing was earth-shattering or jumping out at you, but, like, everything worked well. The characters, the setting, the dialogue, the costume design, I mean, just everything about it was great. And anytime we've got radical women that are kind of shaping the path, I definitely approve. So Enola Holmes is something that you should definitely check out. It is worth your 2 hours, I promise.
I think it must have inspired a lot of other people to pick up the books. I've just actually, while you've been talking about buying books, just looked up. It's like a month to 2 month delay on getting a book from Amazon.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other book places out there, but I just quickly looked on Amazon, and the fact that it says usually dispatch within 1 to 2 months, and they've released a brand new cover edition of the Netflix movie, which was only released on the 24th, the same day the movie came out.
Yeah.
And the fact that now, like, that many people have obviously ordered it, so that's saying a lot, that people must like this if they're going straight to the book. Like, I think that says a lot, that people must have enjoyed this film to go out and buy the book.
It's really great. It's really great, and it actually sends a great message.
Yeah. So we both are fairly agreeable on this week's rating. Geeks and Niche rate this 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, 4.5. Woo!
our highest movie review rating so far.
Yeah. Look at us go.
I know.
This honestly though, this is the first movie or series that we have 100% agreed on about it, I think.
Oh, yeah, 100%. So this week's recommendations, completely opposite to what I was saying at the beginning of the show about shorter seasons. I really weirdly fell into rewatching a show that I absolutely loved and watched it weekly when it came out, going back, I can't remember when it came out, 2004 or something. Finished in 2010, was Lost. And I can't imagine that many people haven't watched Lost. And I watched it as it came out weekly. I got incredibly frustrated by the movie set, by the filming scheduling of it at the time. It was 2 episodes here, 3 episodes there, whatever. You know, I think it was even a show that when it did come out over here, it was kind of following America's schedule. I remember season 1 though, we did get a lot later. We didn't pick it up straight away. I think we did get it well after season 1 finished. But then because it started to grow in popularity, it was literally coming out the night after. And actually, you even remember when the season finale came out, they showed it simultaneously on Sky at like 2 or 3 in the morning over here. I didn't stay up and watch it, but I watched it first thing in the morning when I got up. So, but this is a show which definitely lends itself better to being binge watched rather than weekly, because of the mythology, but also the characters themselves have got their own mythologies. You know, you've got the island mythology, and you've got the Dharma Initiative mythology, and all this kind of different mysteries around, but also the characters, like Kate, for instance, is an ongoing mystery of her. What did she do to end up being a escaped somebody on the lam, so to speak? But even Jack, who's a doctor, has just got so much drama and baggage. I just love all the twists and turns throughout of it. And within a week, I've somehow managed to do season 1 and end up on like episode 8 of season 2. Honestly, I can't believe people haven't watched it, but if you haven't watched it, now is like the perfect time. I know I'm dreading kind of getting to the final season, because that was the season I didn't enjoy, the season I enjoyed the least out of them all. But I am hoping that with a rewatch, I may change my opinion, because I'm really enjoying just watching it all and seeing it all fit together, and not having to wait weekly, or, you know, and even having those summer gaps and stuff like that. I remember when this came out, actually, the writers were even pushing to delay when the show came out in September, so that they could get a good chunk of the season finished before it got released. And I think in the 3rd season, they agreed with ABC, because I remember this, they agreed with ABC to release the first 6 episodes as a block, and then they had a gap for, say, 2 or 3 months, and then they released the back half of that all in one go, because even the creators of Lost were getting frustrated with the channel's push just to get content out. And I remember the actors as well getting frustrated around season 3, around the 22 episode schedule. So 3 onwards, seasons were actually a lot shorter. I think some of them were like 16 and 17 episodes, because the actors wanted a finale. And they wanted to know that their characters actually had an end date, and they didn't want to be in a show that was going to go on for 12 years or something, which I think that's probably what ABC would have loved. But it was nice that actually they had a plan. And I read the other day that actually what they did was, around season 2 or 3, once they got ABC to sign off on season 6 being the final season, they said they wrote it backwards to make sure that they could get to the end. So if you've not watched it, honestly, just watch this. It's brilliant. I love stuff like this. You know, bunch of strangers arrive on a desert island, and it's not Survivor. It literally, there's monsters, there's weird stations that they find, there's clearly other people on the island, there's time travel. The time travel thing sounds like, oh, well, it's a bit crazy, but the time travel is minor. It's just there's a lot going on. Like,
My recommendation for this week is an anime. Again, surprise! It's called Gangsta. It is on Funimation. I do have to caution you, though, it is 1 season, 12 episodes. But the problem is, within the 12 episodes, they do not wrap up a storyline. And the final episode sort of ends in the middle of this gang war, which is ridiculously frustrating. So now I'm going to have to switch over to the manga to actually finish it. But it is the story of this guy named Warwick and his pal named Nick. Nick is a unique character because he's deaf, but he also is like they call them cleanup men because they kind of go in. They're the guys that the bad guys hire when they want something done. So Nick is deaf and he carries a samurai sword, but he's also a different type of human called Twilight. So he's sort of hopped up on this drug, very similar to the way that the soups are created in The Boys, where he's almost like a genetically modified human. So he has sort of a superhuman ability to fight. So it's so much fun. The fight choreography in this anime is really great. The people are kind of like bouncing off of alleyways, and there's lots of sort of parkour. It's great. It's stylized, but I think it was 2015 when this one came out. It's good fun. It's a good story. It's a very interesting story. You definitely kind of want to know more about the characters, and the two main characters are really easy to kind of fall in love with, and you just want to root for them, even though they do some pretty shady things. So I definitely want more of this series, to the point where, yes, now I am going to have to go and pick up the books because I really, really want to know what happens next.
I hate that. Like, I remember watching, was it season 5 of Angel, like on the Buffy spin-off that came out years ago. The final episode ends mid-battle.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no. I was like, what?
I actually thought that was a perfect ending for Angel because, like, leaving it open-ended, but there was no other way they could end the series.
Oh, no, I did have to say I did love that ending, but equally I was like, no, like,
yeah,
because I was really getting into that battle, like, in the whole. I felt like the whole season had been building to that battle, but the last sort of episode or two had been definitely building up to this big confrontation between Wolfman and Hart, and it literally ends mid battle as them charging, and the titles come up, and I was like, what? Like, but equally I was so pumped, and so like I can imagine like watching this anime like mid battle and going, what?
Yeah,
like, that's it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I was like, no. So then I spent the next like 30 minutes online, like, no, there has to be a season 2 somewhere. Even if the season 2 is like in Japanese somewhere else, like, I'm going to find it and I'm going to freaking watch it, whether it has subtitles or not. But there is no season 2. Like, it doesn't exist.
IDW Publishing did get the rights to Angel, and they released a mini-series or something that followed season 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember reading the first issue, and I was like, I actually now wish I didn't know, like, what happened. Like, this is actually disappointing. Like, you remember there was a dragon at the end? The dragon became their friend, and I was like, no, you made it, ruined it now. Like, this is actually where it's almost best to not know what happened.
Yeah.
I'm sure the manga will be cool though. So anyway, you can follow us on social media. We are Geeks Unleashed on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
And you can get us wherever you get your podcasts. Google, Apple, Spotify, wherever. We're there.
Also, I forgot to remind you that our new podcast is coming out on the 4th of October, which is the Late to the Party, episode 1. And we'll be joined by Randy from the Mid-Season Replacement podcast. We'll also be reviewing Mouse, which is spelt M-A-U-S. The whole point in Late to the Party, in case you hadn't guessed, was that every month, because it's a monthly podcast, which will be going in line with also this one. This one will be still coming out weekly, but we'll release our monthly book club, is that we'll be picking up essential graphic novels. You know, those graphic novels that you find on people's lists that everybody goes, I should have read. And we say that all the time. And we decided, actually, we're going to do it. So read along with us, and we'll let you know what we think next Sunday.
Yes, and Mouse actually won a Pulitzer. So it is not only on nerdy people's list, but even book aficionados think that this book is worth reading. So yes, Mouse, the Pulitzer Prize winning book about Holocaust survivors.
And we will see you next week. Thank you very much.
Be excellent to each other.
Party on, dude.